We're jumping right into the action. We got a Chinese observer here today for Mihu versus XuanXuan. Going to be a Terran versus Terran to kick things off on Radiant. Joining me in the caster booth today, none other than Rice. How you doing today, buddy?
Good morning, Shin. I am so happy to be here today. I can't believe we're jumping straight into the game. We're not even going to do any intros. We're not going to like introduce the players, the tournament, anything. We're just going straight into the action. Wow.
Wasting no we got time. Down here in the bottom left, none other than the Chinese champ himself, Mihu. Going to be facing off against his counterpart, the much younger, in the top left here, XuanXuan, as the blue Terran.
I'm so glad you did the intros because I was like trying to figure out which one was who, right? Because I was looking at the name on the top right, and it was like, what is that? Who's that one? And then like the bottom one is a little hard to see. But it's like, oh wait, I think that might be XuanXuan. But I'm glad you had that figured out right away.
By the way, Zero, slight hiccup. We don't actually have game sounds. Does the stream have the game sounds at least? Oh wait, no. I think I actually faintly hear it. Again. No, I faintly hear it. I just had to crank it up all the way to like 200%. It's super low for us.
Oh, I do hear it as well. Yes, very faint.
Yeah,
very
crank
faint.
It to 200%. You can kind of hear it all right then.
All right, well.
Yeah, give us some feedback in the chat, guys, about the volume levels. Yeah. Actually, XuanXuan gonna be opening up with a bunker expand here, and Mihu doing a much more standard racks into gas with his barracks on the periphery of his base to get a faster float and scout. I wonder how greedy either one of these guys are going to be, because usually you want to make 2 Marines to be super safe against something like a BBS, but Mihu's going to scout XuanXuan first, and he could then either make more Marines to attack or just cut Marines completely once identifying the bunker expand.
Honestly, I'm not sure if there's a whole lot of counterplay to be had against someone going bunker play, at least not in the very start. Because your factory isn't going to be so fast that the player going for a gasless opener like that is not going to be able to defend it. XuanXuan actually choosing, I think, a very smart opener. But that doesn't mean that, this is like a purely advantage situation because the factory is late. I think Mihu could take advantage of this and take control of the map a lot earlier compared to XuanXuan.
Yeah, there's definitely options to seize map control away from XuanXuan. XuanXuan's also playing super safe. He's going all the way up to 3 Marines. If XuanXuan's really clever, he could do some scouting, identify how many Marines have been made, and he could have put on early pressure to Mihu, but it's better to just sit back and play safe because eventually there will be a vulture out, and Marines don't do so well against vultures, but luckily because Mihu was able to scout this build early, he's gotten away with just making a single Marine, so he's also going to be pretty optimized despite going to be behind economically.
Yeah, I think this is a good choice from Mihu to go for that faster command center there and just kind of tank the economic disadvantage because it really isn't that big. Right. It's more like an edge rather than any kind of like game-winning situation.
Correct. Yeah, and Terran versus Terran is a lot more dynamic these days. It's not like Terran versus Protoss where if they get away with a Nexus first, you're just flat out behind. Like you say, there's abilities to take map control and have some tempo and initiative that you can work with. Against the bunker expand, you're not just completely behind in every regard, but it can be scary. There's no reason why XuanXuan can't just go up into 3-4 factory vultures and try and run it down on Mihu or something.
Yeah, and I think that's really what makes this matchup so dynamic and interesting, especially compared to other mirror versus mirror matchups. Even if you're in a situation where you're factory expanding versus command center first, even though economically, you're pretty behind, the amount of map control it gives you can almost even make up for it in a lot of cases. If you really know how to play the map and contain your opponent, then that could even turn into an advantage for you if you play it well enough.
Yeah, sometimes you can go for a really quick siege tank push and, you know, set up your siege tanks right outside their natural right off the bat and slowly push into them. You could also do a 1-1-1 build where you go port and factory and make non-stop wraiths and tanks and try and overwhelm them that way. Looks like the choice from Mihu just gonna be, you know, doing some mines to kind of lock XuanXuan into his base for the time being, unless he does elect to go for a vulture-based build. Also, because Mihu has scouted XuanXuan super early, he's been able to sneak in with his barracks a little bit and see that there's no 3-factory vulture play. It's just going to be 2 factories of machine shops for the time being.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty relatively calm opener from both players. I think I'm very used to seeing in TVT both players going for 3-factory vulture, and then you see like giant vulture scuffles in the middle of the map, and basically just like non-stop like pedal on the floor action between the 2 players. But this time around, both of them are just going siege tanks, and they're pretty happy just staying back and macroing.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why Terran versus Terran has become much more dynamic, because no longer players feel like they have to go for that Vulture War option. It certainly does, you know, get rotated in the modern meta, but a few years ago, that's all they were doing was just pure Vulture Wars. Now it's a lot more different, and a wider range of build orders can be elected to go for. And as you can see, me already containing XuanXuan here. This is exactly what we thought he would go for, just setting up a really quick contain and trying to edge his way back into the game with map control. Eventually, Mihu can take a faster third than XuanXuan and catch up in the economy.
Yeah, this is always the risk you take whenever you go for some really greedy opener. And the one respite that XuanXuan has is he does, in fact, have the high ground. But unfortunately for him, Mihu's actually very positioned his tanks very intelligently, just like barely outside of tank range from the high ground there. So unfortunately, that isn't going to be an option for XuanXuan to use to bust out. And I think he might be trying to bust out right now. This could be very, very scary. In these kinds of tank versus tank pushes, one small misstep results in like tanks instantly dying. So we'll see exactly how he approaches this.
Always going to bait out a few tank shots with the SCVs to try and get in good firing positions, but really beautiful control from Mihu, manually targeting the tanks to get really beautiful hits. XuanXuan's tanks are all dead. That's one of the best trades I've seen in TVT in a long time, man. This is so heavily Mihu favored now. XuanXuan's going to be in so much trouble.
Oh no, that was absolutely a disaster. And even when the siege tanks got a chance to fire, they shot some useless units that weren't tanks positioned out front there. So a little bit of a misplay, not targeting the tanks right away. And now XuanXuan's really going to pay for it. He's feeling the pain at this point.
Yeah, man, I don't even know if he can recover from this. I feel like XuanXuan's a very gifted Terran, but he seems to be a little bit antsy, and he just can't help himself. He always wants to find ways of being overly aggressive, and it's really punished him here. Mihu's definitely getting the better end of him, at least in game number 1. He's going to try and make another attempt at getting some tanks into firing positions. He's got some SCVs down here to help repair his tanks, but Mihu is absolutely devastating what few tanks he can muster on the front line.
Yeah, unfortunately, XuanXuan is at a tank disadvantage, and he's the one who needs to be attacking into Mihu's tank line. This is a position you never, ever, ever want to be in as Terran. And I think you might be right. This could be an irrecoverable position. We're now sending in SCVs, and we're hitting Mihu's tanks from the high ground here. So this is providing XuanXuan with maybe just barely enough of an advantage he needs to basically just stay alive here. But with the reinforcements from Mihu, this situation is going from bad to worse.
Yeah, this is becoming more and more untenable for XuanXuan here. Mihu's taking a third base behind this as well. He's going to be racing ahead in economy before long, and he's already done the heavy lifting. He's completely disrupted the tank count of XuanXuan. He's got a couple of Goliaths here as well to kind of act as bodyguards for these tanks to help deal with the vultures laying down mines. One mine is going to connect, though. That tank is super low HP. SCV going to try and see if he can get the finisher on that. Not quite able to do so. Really crazy back and forth between these two, but Mihu's just creeping more and more ahead. 93 supply to now 55.
Oh my gosh, even the vultures now coming up to lay mines here. I'm not sure if there's really a lot of play left in XuanXuan's book here. honestly, I'm expecting GG, and there it goes.
Yeah.
XuanXuan taps out, and Mihu takes a very convincing 1-0 lead.
Wow, Mihu looks scary, man. Like even if you somehow get a greedy build under his nose, he'll still find a way of capitalizing on that. And yeah, I think that was just XuanXuan being a little bit too aggressive with that move out. I understand why he did it. He knew that Mihu would try and take a third behind that. But unfortunately, Mihu just had his number, and his tank positioning was perfect. His tank target firing was perfect as well, and there was almost nothing XuanXuan could do about it.
Yeah, honestly, it almost seemed a little bit like really like a hyper aggressive, risky move that I feel like I don't normally see higher level players do when they're in a situation like that. I feel like it could be like maybe a little bit of overconfidence, maybe a little bit of panic, like I don't know, because normally when I see this kind of contain, pros usually approach it like very, very carefully, or they go into some kind of like drop ship tech. Go in a race, like something to like break the tank line without just using other tank.
Yeah, like he didn't even pull that many SCVs when he did it as well. It was like a really low commitment to trying to bust out. You don't usually see it, although to be fair, like in modern TVT, a lot of Terrans are getting more aggressive and more confident in their ability to break those positions. But I feel like it was a little bit too soon from XuanXuan. Like if he just waited maybe another minute for a few more tanks, pulled more SCVs, or just completely shifted up his tech, like you say, going wraiths or drop ships or anything, might have been a better choice.
I will say though, this is like some pretty impressive play from Mihu. I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier before about how there's still like play to sort of counter the economic advantage if your opponent like goes for something greedier than you. But I wasn't expecting it to snowball this quickly and this hard from Mihu's side here. Like this is not even like that big of a. You don't even get that much of a unit lead. You just get like a very slight positional lead at the very start, but normally I see it go away pretty fast as well.
Well, if you look at these player sheets here, I think Mihu's got the advantage since he's like basically 120 years old. He's played a lot more games than XuanXuan. Unfortunately, XuanXuan, one of the youngest StarCraft gamers we've got, whereas Mihu, he's this immortal that's been around before StarCraft even existed.
What is going on with the 1905? I didn't even notice that until you said 100 years old.
This guy's fought in 2 world wars, man. He can handle some Terran versus Terran.
Yeah, that is the amount of experience you need to like truly understand a matchup this complicated.
Well, we're going into game number 2 here. Knockout, Mihu versus XuanXuan. And spawning here in the bottom left, the blue Terran, XuanXuan, currently down 1-0.
And on the top right, coming in 1-0, it is Mihu.
Yeah, cross map, can sometimes lean towards a little bit more of a macro game. Like maybe that game wouldn't be as easy for Mihu to get the win condition if it was cross map, although against Bonker Expand, you have so much tempo, so I kind of feel like he might have still gotten away with it.
Yeah, and I don't think XuanXuan is really going to try that move again. I feel like there really is no need to in the first place. Obviously, it's good to mix it up, but XuanXuan is more than talented enough to play from even footing if you just like have them both go standard or something. Like I'm actually fairly confident XuanXuan has a good shot of it.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think like he doesn't need to take any unnecessary liberties here. I think I would much rather see him just open with a 12 gas or something and play a lot more of an orthodox style.
Yeah, that would be what I'm expecting at least. And I think it sort of suits XuanXuan's playstyle maybe a little bit better. But we see both players now going for their barracks. I'm expecting the gases to come up soon. Mirror builds, pretty common in TVT.
Yeah, both players taking their gas, so we're going to have a little bit of a mirrored build situation to start things off. Maybe XuanXuan can navigate that into a more favorable position and not just let Mihu take over complete map control.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, honestly, I haven't seen a whole lot of TVT from these two players. So I'm not really sure if XuanXuan has exactly like a matchup specialty, right? Like, is he particularly good at this matchup compared to other matchups?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think that XuanXuan's slightly better in TVT than he is TVP. But overall, I think Mihu's the more complete player. Like, I call him like the Chinese Flash. Like, he's super good in all three matchups. I feel like he's just got so much more experience, and he's so great at creating win conditions out of thin air, man.
Yeah, and I don't know if I heard this from you or from another caster, but Mihu's also, I heard, the innovator of the TVP 5 fact.
Yes,
right?
I think. I mean, you may have heard it from me, but it's common knowledge. Like, everyone knows that Mihu, or at least most people know that Mihu is the guy that basically revolutionized that stuff. Which is crazy to think about. That like a Chinese player has like suddenly started doing really well in the scene and has basically set the modern meta for TVP. That's kind of crazy and impressive, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's even, I would go so far as say that's almost unheard of, right? Like, all of the innovations in sort of StarCraft strategy, StarCraft, theory, that kind of stuff comes from Korea, right? Like you think of who are the big innovators, it's like Bisu, it's like Jaedong, it's like all the big pros from Korea. You don't think about a foreigner like Mihu coming in and being like, actually, you guys are all playing Terran wrong. All the Koreans are playing Terran wrong. This is how you should be playing.
I think it's fantastic, man. I love that we've got new blood in the StarCraft scene, and it's kind of continuously updated the meta. Like, the meta is always this like big circle that rotates around as the years tick by, and you need players like Mihu to kind of come in and show you guys new ways of playing. Now TVP, I think, is a lot more easy to tackle than it used to be. A lot of these guys were just sitting back trying to max out with 3 upgrades and wondering why they were having a bad time. And Mihu was like, no, you just need to make more units, guy, so you can take your third faster and safer and put on more pressure to the Protoss player and just have more units to work with. We got XuanXuan trying to poke up the ramp here a little bit. He has delayed the natural from being built for some time, but Mihu will be able to dispatch that vulture with his tank, come down here and get that started again.
Man, that was a crazy exchange. I didn't think two SCVs repairing each other on a ramp could be able to outlast a vulture before the tank comes out. Like, that was actually pretty That was actually pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, I think the only way the vulture breaks that is if the missed chances don't happen, right? And you get lucky and you get like 3 or 4 shots in a row. That was pretty well mapped out from Mihu here.
Yeah, well played from him, and he's going to get his command center up and running promptly. Both players actually going for, what, is that 2 tanks on Mihu's side?
I think so, yeah. It doesn't seem like either one of these guys is going to be fully... Oh, hang on a second. There's the 3rd factory from XuanXuan. Okay, so maybe it is going to be a Vulture War style here from our blue Terran XuanXuan, whereas Mihu playing a little bit more orthodox. He's a... Oh, that's a 4th proxy factory. XuanXuan is getting pretty fresh, man. He's going to really try and surprise Mihu.
Man, a 4th factory is like one of those proxy like factory plays that I swear they only work on the high level, right? It's like at the lower level, it's just like you add an extra factory for your Vulture War, like nobody's gonna notice. But at this level, everything is mapped out so like precisely that even something as minor as an extra factory can really mess up the calculus and snowball into a victory. So this is actually, I think, very smart play from XuanXuan.
Although this is a really good play from Mihu. He's been able to defend against the Vulture, timing 3 Vultures sneaking into his natural base while Mihu's counterattacking with his 2 tanks. Now he's going to realize it is going to be a Vulture War setup, seeing nothing but Vultures pour out from our blue Terran XuanXuan. Microing back to these tanks, he's causing a lot of lost mining time and doing quite a lot of damage to the economy of XuanXuan as a result. Desperately trying to get a surround on this tank with those SCVs. He's starting to do it now, but just as the Vultures of Mihu show up to cripple the SCV count even more, this is getting crazy.
Oh my god, this is a crazy reversal from Mihu here. Like, it was XuanXuan who made the proxy factory, but Mihu is somehow winning the Vulture War. He got so many SCVs from that, and now he's pushing into the main. I think even with the extra factory, XuanXuan's going to struggle to keep up with this. This is just going to snowball into a Mihu victory, I think.
Yeah, this is great. It's just Mihu outclassing XuanXuan in these first 2 games, man. That's got to be depressing for XuanXuan. You're going to feel like there's nothing you can do against this guy. Mihu just looks unbeatable, and he's got the correct answer to anything you go for.
I don't even know if Mihu even noticed that, and there was like a building missing there. Like, that was just an incredible play, just winning on every possible front, and just like coming in basically with a sledgehammer,
Yeah.
wrecking through XuanXuan's units there. That was very incredible to watch.
I'm just so blown away that Mihu had that mapped out perfectly. Like, literally just as the 3 vultures for XuanXuan drop into his natural, Mihu's 4 vultures coming down the ramp. His tanks are already nearly in the natural of XuanXuan. And he's got the perfect timing to punish something like a Vulture War setup like that. There was almost nothing XuanXuan could have done unless he somehow got a surround on those tanks quicker with the SCVs. But Mihu was really on top of his micro.
Yeah, that was incredible to watch. And also, like, can we talk about the fact that the run by was done by 2 tanks? Have you ever seen a 2 tank run by? You're like, normally it's the vultures that run by and sneak in, right?
That was just perfect from Mihu. The fact that he had the confidence to commit the tanks, knowing that he was going to have to deal with vultures back at home. But like I said, he had it mapped out. It was cross map. It would take a few extra seconds for XuanXuan to actually get in there. And that was just barely enough time for Mihu's macro round to get down the ramp and actually start to win out on the vulture count as well. That's crazy, man. Squeezing out 2 tanks and still winning the Vulture War against a 4 factory opening from XuanXuan. That's almost unheard of, man. Mihu is just on a different level.
He truly is the Chinese Flash here. Maybe the Flash of all foreigners. This is like the way he just like every engagement just goes his way somehow magic, right? Like you can't even explain it. His brain is on a completely different playing field from all the other players.
And it really was like how you watch Flash back in the day. Like, he was just doing things other players couldn't do, and it was really hard to make sense of as an observer or one of his opponents. And that's kind of what it's like watching Mihu play sometimes, man. He's just like playing on a plateau beyond pretty much any other player that's outside of Korea.
Yeah, this is making me really worried for XuanXuan, though. Like, yeah, you're right. This must definitely be a demoralizing victory. Like, theoretically, you should have like every conceivable advantage in a Vulture War, and you lose it anyway, right? Like, he built 2 tanks. He's only on 2 factories, right? You're on 4 factories, right? It's man. Well, I don't know what XuanXuan's to do.
Yeah, I don't know either, but let's find out if he's got the answer to it. We're jumping into the game number 3 now. XuanXuan versus Mihu on Polestar. Let's get it. Spawning down here in the bottom left, the Chinese champ himself, the Red Terran, Mihu.
And spawning on the top right, down 0-2, seeing if he can make a reverse sweep happen against the Chinese Flash. It is XuanXuan, the XuanXuan.
Yeah, I was talking a little bit off stream with Machine at the end of the last cast, and he basically asked me, like, what do I think is going to happen between Mihu and XuanXuan? I can't remember my exact words, but it was something to the effect of, I think Mihu's going to pull XuanXuan's arms off. And I think that's basically what is going to happen.
Yeah, and I think your prediction might be coming right here. That's kind of what we saw happen in both games there. It wasn't even like XuanXuan played particularly bad. It's just that Mihu just like unexpectedly performed like amazing. Like, when I say unexpectedly, I don't mean like, oh, he doesn't usually play this well. I mean, like, how can anyone play that well in that situation and have everything go that right?
It's kind of insane, man. And the fact that he's this good in all 3 matchups is why I think he's deserving of being called like the non-Korean Flash. Like, it's insane what this guy can do. He's so dialed into StarCraft. The guy's literally creating build orders that the Korean pros end up using. I mean, what more can you say about him?
Yeah, that is quite the high praise there. Like, I feel like the foreigner scene is usually overlooked because Koreans are just so good, and foreigners just can't even, match up to that level. But I guess Mihu's ability to theorize and theory craft is on a different level from everyone else and can match up to those of Koreans.
Well, to be fair to you, I think think players like Mihu, Zhao Shui, Zanhun, they're really close to qualifying for ASL as well. It's only going to be a matter of time until we see one of these guys show up to that big tournament. Who knows? It could be this season coming up at the end of March, man. Like, it's crazy how good these guys are. And over the last few years, they've really caught up to the Korean scene. I wouldn't say they're like as good as all the top Korean pros are, but I think they're on the cusp of finally starting to break into the rankings.
Yeah, I mean, I like to follow the ACS and that tournament, that sort of qualifier, the ASL qualifier leading up, and I always see these players, Mihu, XuanXuan, like DeWalt as well, try their best to qualify, and honestly, they've been getting better. They've been getting better results every single time, so that's always exciting to watch. If I see one of them make it to ASL, like that would actually be the most hype thing ever, even though I know they're going to get their ass blasted in round one.
I'm not even like, I haven't got any Chinese ethnicity in me whatsoever, and I would be really going crazy if I just saw anyone outside of Korea, especially one of these Chinese guys, qualify for ASL, man. That would be almost like a dream come true to have a non-Korean in that event. I think pretty much most people share that sentiment.
Yeah, that would be absolutely crazy to watch. I mean, it's just because the Koreans are so dominant to start off. But anyways, looking back into this game, I see both players are opting for very standard openings. It looks very much like a repeat of game number 1. Both players spawning on opposite sides of the map, cross spawn, and going for factory openers.
Yeah, well, game number 1, we had bunker expand versus the factory expand. So a little bit different this time around. Just a quick factory expand, pulling guys off the gas, now putting them back onto gas as they plop down their second factory. Curious to see if we'll see another Vulture War attempt out of either one of these players. You got to wonder what XuanXuan thinks he can do to beat Mihu. He's pulled out a couple of tricks already with the bunker expand and the proxy 4 factory, and neither one has worked. You wonder if he's going to still try something. Oh, looks like it's going to be Mihu taking the initiative, throwing down that third factory. He's going to be the one taking the reins and wanting to put on some aggressive pressure with that Vulture War style.
Yeah, honestly, thinking about it, I wonder if these kinds of little tricks would even work on Mihu, a player like that with his brains bulging out of its socket there. Usually the idea is you put them in an unfamiliar situation, make the game really chaotic, but Mihu's kind of proving that he knows how to think on his feet and adapt to any kind of situation you present him.
Yeah, his on-the-fly adaptations are insane. It looks like both players, XuanXuan now, getting that third factory, so both players going to be going for that Vulture War style, and Mihu's going to scout it. The Barrack sees the count of vultures. He now knows what he's going to be up against, whereas still XuanXuan not going to be totally sure of what Mihu's elected to do.
Man, Mihu even knowing like where his opponents spawned, like you saw that barracks, it went straight to the opposite corner. Like it wasn't even like you know, like he just knew XuanXuan would be there. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, I guess you just got to be good at the game to, you know, get lucky like that. Ooh, fourth factory.
We see Mihu actually putting down a fourth factory, so he's really hard committing into this sort of vulture pressure in the early game. And honestly, I'm excited to see what he has in store, because he sort of proved that it's the past couple of games have kind of proved just how knowledgeable Mihu is on the early game, and he basically knows exactly how to play from the early stages.
And I mean, that XuanXuan just scouted that 4 factory, so that's good for him, and that's going to prompt him to throw down his own 4 factory, and basically both players going to be doubling down into this Vulture War style. Mihu's starting to move out with his vultures now. He's got a good scout on the positioning of the count of vultures of XuanXuan, but it is cross map, and XuanXuan does have defender's advantage, but Mihu's starting to stab in a little bit with his vultures, trying to bait XuanXuan up to the high ground. It actually does work. He gets some good connections, picks off a few of those vultures. He's going to wait for a few more rallies to kick in, and as long as he attacks XuanXuan before the 4th factory actually is on, is that a 5th factory? He's going 5 factories. He's got a proxy 4 factory and a 5th factory in his main base. This is crazy.
Well, unfortunately, I think Mihu hasn't scouted the last proxy factory there. Wait, sorry. I'm kind of confused. Where's the proxy factory?
It's at the 12 o'clock.
Oh, it's at the 12 o'clock. Oh, okay, that's the barracks. I see. So this is this is actually a hidden factory. It's not really that much proxied. But I'm excited to see how this plays out. It is going to be 4 factory against 5 factory, so the vulture numbers should favor XuanXuan a little bit, but a big battle going to happen on the middle of the map here. But I think Mihu just barely has more vultures than XuanXuan, but three of his vultures were out of action for a little bit for no particular reason, but I think he's still going to win the fight.
I think he still just barely wins the fight, but having 3 vultures not shooting might mean that XuanXuan can eventually win with his rallies showing up. Looks like Mihu's rallies also on the periphery there. So yeah, eventually Mihu gonna be winning out. Absolutely insane. Like, Mihu is behind in factory count pretty much every game and still makes it look like it's winnable. I don't know how he does it. The target firing is pretty phenomenal as well. Eventually, it looks like XuanXuan might get the better end of this trade because of the faster rally points, but Mihu's also got his own 4 vultures showing up, so it doesn't really matter that he technically starts to lose the fight. He can eventually capitalize. It seems like his macro cycles, his overall unit control, the positioning, the target firing just is a little bit better than XuanXuan.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's probably a lot of little things. I mean, it's the initial 2 vultures that got sniped for free. It's the macro cycle being a little bit cleaner. The target firing maybe a little bit cleaner. It's all going to snowball up into an advantage where not even a 5th factory from XuanXuan could make up for it.
Yeah, the vulture wars are really one-sided. If you get a tiny lead in vulture count, you can see just how easily 4 vultures will beat 3 because you can 2-volley them down off the board so quick. XuanXuan's in a lot of trouble, man. Mihu might be winning this set 3-0 at this rate. It doesn't look like XuanXuan can hold on, trying to pull some SCVs to get a repair, any kind of help that he can get. But just as he starts to stabilize a little bit, another 4 vultures are going to show up from Mihu.
Yeah, this is looking very, very rough here from XuanXuan. That 5th vulture coming in from the left side, I feel like should tick Mihu off. But I think XuanXuan might barely stabilize now, but not before getting a lot of SCVs picked off, and you do not want to be in an economic disadvantage against someone like Mihu, who's already taking a 3rd behind this. Our opener, as XuanXuan, was supposed to put on pressure against our opponent, but it seemed like the opposite happened, so I'm getting very worried here. I feel like XuanXuan is just going to slowly lose this game. Well,
Mihu could squeeze out a Goliath or 2 defensively to hold this 3rd easier. Goliaths are super great against vultures, especially when you're not losing on the fights by a significant margin. He's laid down a bunch of mines all over the map. Also now XuanXuan starting to mine up his natural. I don't think he fully understands that this 3rd is here yet. His floating barracks is just about to scout the bad news that Mihu's already set up with this 3rd. He's starting to wall in as well with a depot and engineering bait on that 3rd, making it even harder to get into firing positions with these vultures. And unless XuanXuan can find a hole in the defense of Mihu in the next few seconds, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Tank is now out for Mihu too.
Yeah, this is a very difficult situation for XuanXuan. Mihu has really forced his hand here, and he's responding accordingly right now, starting to pump out tanks, which unfortunately XuanXuan doesn't really have an answer to. The only thing he can do is keep pumping out vultures and hope to find an opening. But Mihu already walling off the top side of that base and sieging the tanks on the bottom. I'm not sure if XuanXuan really has any play left here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. He's just taking his own 3rd base. Mihu did just scan the 12 o'clock and the natural 3rd of XuanXuan, saw there was no CC on the way, so he knows that he's really far ahead and he can probably play pretty defensively for the time being. Gonna make his 3rd comsat now, and he'll probably keep rescanning these 3rd base locations of XuanXuan, and he'll eventually identify that he is actually going for a 3rd base. It's just super late. He's going to be feeling pretty fantastic about this game state now.
Yeah, this is an amazing game state for Mihu here. He has mines all over the map, which is honestly the main purpose of the Vulture opener, right? Like you're technically like if you win against your opponent, like that's obviously good. But in theory, if you go Vulture and they go Vulture, and whoever wins the Vulture war should just take map control. But Mihu has taken complete map control and also gotten SCVs behind this and an eco lead as well. And this is allowing him to sort of freely move out, but he might miss this Vulture counterattack coming from the bottom hand side here. This might be the opening XuanXuan was looking for, but no, Mihu just barely able to respond in time to defend this. And now I think XuanXuan's Vultures are a little bit trapped.
Man, this was really good army movement from Mihu as well. His army was so fluid with how it quickly responded to that threat. The mine's also doing a great job of just scouting for those kind of counterattacks and helping him respond appropriately. And XuanXuan's only just now starting to send SCVs to mine his third, whereas Mihu's been mining for a couple of minutes at least already. And there's so many factories for Mihu. You have to wonder, he's just going to be able to churn out way more tanks, way more vultures than XuanXuan can even keep up with at this point.
Yeah, Mihu has more vultures than XuanXuan has units at this point, and that's not even to mention 3 tanks that are going to siege up here and cut off the circulation for XuanXuan. This third base now is going to be completely exposed, and XuanXuan sees the writing on the wall, and GG's.
Wow.
Unfortunately, losing the series 0-3 to the Terran Flash.
That must have been one of the quickest Terran versus Terran best of 5s in history. Like, that was really quick compared to how long some of these games can go.
Yeah, honestly, I was like buckling in. I was like, all right, TVT best of 5, here we